Здравствуйте. Hello and welcome to Russian language class. Before moving on, let us have a quick recap of whatever we have learnt in the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, if you remember, we had discussed about the cardinal numbers from 200 onwards. So, how do we say cardinal numbers 200 onwards? So, let us practice few numbers and how do we say them in Russian. The first cardinal number I have written here is 345. How will you say that in English? 345. In Russian, just find the equivalent of 340 and 5. How do we say 300 in Russian? 300. 300 is 300, 40 is 40 and 5 is 5. 345, 345. So, this is how we say 345 in Russian. The second number I have written here is 1978. 1000, how do you say 1000 in Russian? 1000. 900, 900. 70, 70 and 8, 8. So, what comes? So, how do we say 1978 in Russian? 1978. 1978. The next number I have written here is 100,023. 100,023. I have already told you that we do not have lakh in Russian. So, we do not say lakh, we say 100,000 for 1 lakh. So, how do you say 100,000? 100 is 100, 1000 is 1000, but we have discussed that if a cardinal number ends with 0, we do not use 1000, we use 1000. 100,000, 20, 20 and 3, 3. 100,000, 23. 100,000, 23. The next number is 1,980,042. So, let us start with 1 million. How do you say million? Million. Ajin million or million. 900. 900 is 900. 80 80 and again we will use 1000. Why? Because this 980 ends with a 0. 980, 1000, 40 which is 40, 2. Million, 1 million, 980,000, 40, 2. So, this is how we say cardinal numbers in Russian. So, let us move on to the topics we are going to learn today. The topic that we are going to discuss today is the adjectives in the genitive plural. So, how do adjectives are used in the genitive plural? So, in the genitive plural number of nouns, when we use an adjective, how are we supposed to change or decline that particular adjective? So, we will look at the changes in the sentences. I have written a question here and then I have written an answer in negative, and as you already know that negative answers use the genitive plural or genitive singular of nouns. For example, у вас есть новые книги? У вас есть новые книги? Here новые книги is in the nominative case. So, this question can be answered in two ways, either in affirmative or in negative. So, if you answer this question in affirmative, how will you say? Да, у меня есть новые книги. But if you answer this question in negative, then we are supposed to use the genitive case of nouns. Нет, у меня нет новых книг. As you can see, this новые has changed to новых. and kniegi, knieg. So, knieg is the genitive case of the noun kniegi, which is the plural number, and novich is the genitive plural of the adjective novie. So, this is how we change an adjective in the genitive plural. Net net novich knieg. So, this I and ye, which is the ending in the nominative, changes to I and h. Ie, ich. If you remember, the same changes we have done when we discussed the animate nouns in the accusative case in plural. So, basically the changes are same in the accusative case and animate nouns, and in the genitive case animate or inanimate. There is no distinction of animate and inanimate nouns in the genitive case. Next question. В этой аудитории есть свободные места? В этой аудитории есть свободные места? Свободные места is vacant places. So, are there vacant places in this auditorium or hall? If you answer this question in affirmative, how will you answer? Да, в этой аудитории есть свободные места. But if you answer the same question in negative, we will use the genitive case of nouns. Нет в этой аудитории нет свободных мест. So, места has become мест. Genitive plural of места is мест, and свободные declines in the genitive case as свободных. Ie, ich. The same changes that we did with the adjective novie. Next question. В этом тексте были незнакомые слова. В этом тексте были незнакомые слова. Незнакомые слова, unknown words. Were there unknown words in this text? Let's try to answer this question in affirmative. Да, в этом тексте были незнакомые слова. And if you answer this question in negative, then нет в этом тексте не было незнакомых слов. So, here slava changes to slov, which is the genitive plural, and the adjective незнакомые changes to незнакомых. Again, ie changes to их. Next, каких газет не было в киоске? We have discussed that какой, when the interrogative word какой is used in an interrogative sentence, then we answer the question with adjectives. So, каких газет не было в киоске? Which newspapers were not there in the booth? Kiosk is booth or kiosk as we translate it in English. So, how will you answer this question in affirmative? If you have to use Ruskiye. See, the question itself says не было. So, the question itself denotes negation. So, we will directly answer this question in negation. В киоске не было русских газет. Русских comes from русские. So, if the ending of an adjective is ie in the nominative case, it will change to ich in the genitive plural. So, there are two changes that we are supposed to do with the adjectives in plural in the genitive case. The first one, if the nominative plural of an adjective is ie ending or ends with I and ye, then we change ie with ich, or if the ending is I and ye, then we replace ie with ich. So, that is how we decline the adjectives in the genitive plural. We are now discussing the plural nouns in the genitive case. and plural nouns, they have dependents as pronouns, adjectives. Adjectives we have already discussed, how do they change in the genitive plural. Nouns we have already discussed. Now we are discussing the pronouns in the genitive plural, and within the pronouns we will start with the possessive pronouns. So, how possessive pronouns decline in the genitive case in plural. I have written sentence here, Etanashi novie studente. These are our new students. The question next to the sentence is, Chi eta chitaraji. Chi eta chitaraji. Chi, as you already know, means whose, and when we answer chei, chia, chio and chi, we use a possessive pronoun. Now you have to take hint from the first sentence and answer this question, Chi eta chitaraji. So, we will use Nashi novie studenti and try to answer this question, Chi eta chitaraji. Eta chitaraji, these notebooks are of Nashikh. Nashi changes to Nashikh. Novich, novie, novich, studianti, studiantov. So, Nashi novie studianti in the genitive case changes to Nashikh novich studiantov. So, as you can see, Nashi is in the nominative case and we have added kh at the end to get its genitive case plural form. Eta chitaraji Nashikh novich studentov. These notebooks are of our new students, and this sentence shows possession. That is why we have used a possessive pronoun Nashi. Next, again I have written a simple sentence here. Eta mai lubimie pisachili. Eta mai lubimie pisachili. These are my favorite authors or writers. So, mai here is a possessive pronoun. Next is a question. Chi fotografii stajat u vas na stolje. Chi fotografii u vas stajat na stolje. Whose photographs are there on the table? Whose photographs are there on the table? And you have to answer this question using the words in the first sentence. So, how will you answer this question? Na stolje stajat fotografii moich lubimih pisatelей. На столе стоят фотографии моих любимых писателей. What does it mean? On the table there are photographs of my favorite authors or writers. Next is a sentence. Это его соседи. Соседи is the nominative plural of сосед, neighbor. These are his neighbors. Next is a question which is to be answered with the nouns in the first sentence. Чьи друзья были в клубе на вечере? Чьи друзья были в клубе на вечере? Whose friends were there in the club at a party? Вечер here is party. Вечер also means evening. And you have to answer this question using его соседи. В клубе на вечере были друзья его соседей. В клубе на вечере были друзья его соседей. Что это значит? What does it mean? In the club there were friends of his neighbors at the party. So, in the club at the party there were friends of his neighbors. So, его, which is the nominative case form, does not change its form in the genitive case. So, these three things, if we summarize, what do we get? Mai becomes maich. Similarly, twai, which is the nominative case plural, of the possessive pronoun twoi becomes twoich, maich, twoich. Nashi, which is the nominative case plural of nash, changes to nashich, nashi, nashich, and vashi, which is the nominative plural of vash, changes to vashich, maich, twoich, nashich, and vashich. With regards to the third person possessive pronouns, for example, ivo, io, and ich, they do not change their forms in the genitive case in either numbers, neither in singular nor in plural. So, ivo, io, and ich, they remain the same. So, this was about the possessive pronouns. Now, we will look at the demonstrative pronouns in the genitive plural. Let us look at the declension of demonstrative pronouns in the genitive case plural. Это известные артисты. These are popular artists. Вы помните фамилии этих известных артистов? Вы помните фамилии этих известных артистов? Помнить, I hope you remember this verb. Помнить is to remember. Do you remember? Familia. Familia we have discussed in the previous lesson. Familia is surname. Do you remember the surnames of these? Here, etich comes from eti, which is the demonstrative case plural, nominative plural of ether. So, etat, eta, eta, and eti. So, eti in the genitive case changes to etich. Вы помните фамилии этих известных артистов? Известный, известные becomes известных, известные, известных, артисты, артистов. Вы помните фамилии этих известных артистов? So, эти changes to этих. So, basically the changes are the same as we have changed the possessive pronouns. If you remember, possessive pronouns in the genitive case form are also used when we add an additional h at the end. So, moi, maya, mayo, mai, and mai changes to maich in the genitive plural. The same way, эти changes to этих. Next, ті картины вам нравятся. Ті картины вам нравятся. Ті denotes the possessive pronoun or the demonstrative pronoun. We'll try to answer this question using a demonstrative pronoun. Мне нравятся картины тех молодых художников. Мне нравятся картины тех молодых художников. Художник is painter, молодой is young, картина, картина is painting. So, whose paintings do you like? And нравятся here I have used. Why? Because картина is in the plural form. So, wherever we have plural forms used, we will use нравятся, and had it been singular, then we would have used нравится. So, нравится is used with singular nouns and нравится with plural nouns. Мне нравятся картины. I like the paintings of тех, those молодых, young painters. So, эти becomes этих and те becomes тех. So, this is how we decline the demonstrative pronoun эти and те in the genitive case. Similarly, if you come across the determinative pronoun се in the genitive case, it would become всех. So, этих, тех and всех. So, this was about the pronouns in the genitive case plural. The next topic we have is reflexive possessive pronoun in Russian. What are reflexive possessive pronouns in Russian? When the subject of a sentence is the possessor himself or herself, then we use the reflexive possessive pronoun. In Russian, the reflexive possessive pronoun is swoi. Swoi in English can be translated as one's own, in Hindi apna or khud ka. As you can see by the meaning, you can make out that when the subject of a sentence possesses something or it's denoting its own, then we use the reflexive possessive pronoun swoi. For example, včera я видел твоего друга в парке. Here we have used a possessive pronoun твой. Вчера я видел твоего друга в парке. Yesterday I saw your friend in the park. So here we are saying your friend. So your is not something that the subject which is ya possess. So that is why we have used possessive pronoun твой. Next sentence, вчера я видел своего друга в парке. So here друг is something that is directly related to the subject which is ya. So ya is talking about something of his own. That is why we are using the reflexive possessive pronoun swoi here. Вчера я видел своего друга в парке. In Hindi, how will you translate this sentence? कल मैंने अपने दोस्त को पार्क में देखा. अपने दोस्त. So here the subject is talking about something of his own. That is why we are using reflexive possessive pronoun swoi. In Russian, there are sentences where this reflexive possessive pronoun is dropped. So we will look at some of the instances where we do not use the reflexive possessive pronoun. Мы рассказываем о своей семье. Мы рассказываем о своей семье. Here there is only one subject or personal pronoun and there is no contradiction in the sentence. We can drop the reflexive possessive pronoun. Мы рассказываем о своей семье will mean we are narrating about family. So it can be we are narrating about our own family. The next example is Он спросил своего отца о новой машине. Он спросил, спросить is to ask, своего отца, his father, about the new car. So here also он спросил отца. If we do not use своего, the meaning remains the same. He asked the father or he asked his father. The meaning remains the same. A новой машине, about the new car. So there are these are some of the instances where we drop the reflexive possessive pronoun. And like the possessive pronouns, reflexive possessive pronouns also they change their forms in different cases. So now we will look at the changes that we do with the reflexive possessive pronoun swoi. The reflexive possessive pronoun swoi declines in the various cases as the possessive pronoun moi and toi. So the declension of moi and toi, the changes that we have done with moi and toi, the same changes will apply with the possessive reflexive pronoun swoi. I have written the cases that we have covered so far and the masculine, feminine, neuter and plural forms of the reflexive possessive pronoun swoi. Then in the nominative case, masculine, the form is swoi. Swoi, feminine becomes swaya, in neuter swayo, and in plural swai, swoi, swaya, swayo and swai. In prepositional case it becomes swayom, swoi, swayom, swaya, swayei, swayo, swayom, swai, swaich. So, swayom masculine, swayei feminine, swayom neuter and swaich plural in the prepositional case. The next case we have is accusative. Accusative we have already discussed, there are distinction between the animate and inanimate nouns. That is why I have written two forms in the masculine. Swaivo denotes the animate nouns. So, swaivo will be used with animate nouns and swoi with inanimate nouns. Swayu feminine gender, and I have not written the second form here because in both the forms either it is animate or inanimate, the forms remain the same. Swayo neuter gender and swaich with animate nouns and swai with inanimate nouns. In dative case, swaimu masculine, swayei feminine, swaimu neuter and swaim plural. In the genitive case, the case that we are discussing, the masculine form is swaivo, feminine is swayei, neuter is swaivo and plural is swaich. So, these are the declension or these are the forms that the possessive reflexive pronoun swoi changes in different cases. So, we conclude this lesson here. What all we have learned in this lesson? We have learned the declension of plural forms of adjectives, pronouns in the genitive case. Apart from that, we also discussed the reflexive possessive pronoun swoi in Russian, and we discussed its various forms in different cases. So, this is all for today. We will meet in the next class. Till then, spasiba, do svidaniya.